That was Anything Can Happen by Celebration Worship. Guys, welcome to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy, I'm your Sunday morning host. And what a true delight it is to be spending my morning with you. I hope you're having a good one. I hope things have been beautiful for you this week. I hope you've got a lot to look forward to in the week to come. And you know what? Today is a good chance for a celebration, whatever that looks like. It could be a case of simple prayers of just complete thanks. It might be celebrations through parties. Maybe you're having a birthday party today. Maybe it happens to be a case of celebrating through a letter, through words, through affirmation, through getting out and doing things with, anyone actually. It could be friends, could be family, could be anyone, but just getting out and about and celebrating. That might be a case of just taking a walk down the park and just spending some time with your kids. Celebrations come in all sorts of forms, and I don't know about you guys, but school holidays can be a little bit like that for us. It can be a celebration and it can be a commiseration all in one, but it's actually in all honesty, it actually is a really nice time just to spend some time with your kids. If you happen to be on the beginning of holidays, particularly if you're a teacher, congratulations, you have made it. Well done. You have made it through term 2, and it is time to put those feet up for a little while. If I remember correctly, my mum was a teacher, so I know that school holidays sounds really good, but theoretically, and practicality can often collide heads. And I used to find that she would end up sick most of the holidays as a kind of catch up from the craziness of just go, go, go. And I hope for your sake you don't have that, that experience these holidays, and yet that you actually can get some time just to just enjoy, just enjoy your family, your friends, your spouse, or just having some time of doing nothing. I hope you can actually get some wind down. And that, those words go beyond the teachers, beyond the kids that are finishing up for a few weeks at least. And I just want to wish you all a chance, want to pray that you get a chance to actually spend some time celebrating life today. Life is a gift, and we are given it, and we have, we've got opportunities. So grab hold and enjoy. And in all seasons, I think giving thanks is so important. So if you can spend some time just saying thank you to God today, I know that He appreciates it. He tells us to be thankful in all things. So I will leave those little words of wisdom there. Guys, I was kind of umming and ahhing what to do today. I kind of went, what do we explore? And I had actually spoken to some people during the week on something totally different that I was going to do. But as I was driving down to Rhema this morning, I really had this sort of sense of, let's talk about families. Let's talk about parents and kids. Because whether we like it or not, every single one of us, and there's not many things in life that are actually this way, but in terms of our life, we are brought into the world by our parents. Now, they might be biological parents, they might be lifelong parents, they might be, it depends. Obviously, we all have different dynamics of how that has transpired and what that becomes. But we are born of parents. And so I think we can, learn so much about the relationship between a parent and a child when we look at our own relationships and the relationships that are around us. And I know that I'm going to go into things that are probably a little bit like, I'm trying not to be too counsellor-ish, because I know that can be a bit like, okay, I'm checking out. My husband is like that with me. He's getting better, but it's taken him about 20 years to get used to the idea of the fact that I sort of deepen everything. So I'll try not to go too deep to the point where you're going, come on. But I just think, we have so many Bible verses that we can look at in terms of learning to really value the relationship between a child and their parent. This week, it's strange because I sort of spent some time thinking about each of my own kids and what they've taught me just by being their parent, and ultimately what those things have taught me about my relationship with God. Guys, we have so much that we can learn by our worldly experiences about who God is and how much He loves us, how much He does not give up on us. And there's a flip side, because for some of you, you might be thinking, but my parents gave up on me, or my parents did this, or my parents did that. Yeah, you're right. There are situations and circumstances out there that they may cause us to question what a parenting relationship is supposed to be like. But on the flip side of that, I think you have a deeper, if you have had a bad experience with your own parents, it may be a case of that actually allows you a deeper understanding of God's love, because He's not going anywhere. He's not going to, run from you when it gets too hard or when things get too messy or things get too ugly and you kind of go, whoa, I've really stepped off track here and I don't even know how to get back. We are dealing with a dad who is there 100% of the time, without fault, without stammering or question. He is just there continuously. And that is something, when we're talking about celebrations, that is something that we can seriously celebrate. So this morning, guys, stick with me. We are going to celebrate all things parenting, all things kids, all things in between. And even if you are sitting there and you're going, I don't have kids, how boring. This does not, you're not excluded from this because, as I said, every one of us are born of someone. All right, I'll see you guys shortly. Enjoy this song. And welcome back to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host. Guys, we were just listening to actually something pretty fantastic because it really flows on from where I was going in that last little segment. We were just listening to Not Giving Up by John Newsom. And that's kind of where we're going. We're talking about the fact that we have a God who has not given up on us. He will not give up on us. He is a God He goes the long distance. He runs those marathons with us. He's there. He conquers all. He doesn't get dismayed or gets distracted when we get distracted. He just kind of pulls us back up and says, let's keep going. The thing is, we need to recognize that sometimes. We need to actually take time to not trying to keep running the race on our own. We need to recognize that He's there, like running it with us, and that He is this perfect parent. So what does that have to do with what I'm talking about today? Well, I kind of mentioned that on the way down here this morning, I found myself thinking about the relationship of, just the relationship between parents and kids and vice versa, kids and parents. Now, when I'm leading church, we often have we sing, what's it called? I Speak Jesus. I can't think of the actual lyrics at the moment. But you guys are probably very familiar with the I Speak Jesus. I'll find the lyrics really quickly while I'm talking to you. I just want to read specifically where I find that when I'm leading, something sort of shifts in our church. I don't know about you guys, but there's a shift that I often see within faces and in the way that people sing. It's just where it goes into... shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over every enemy, Jesus for my family. Now this one, that line there, every single time our church sings this song, and again, I just want to emphasize this is by, this song itself is by Charity Gale, just to affirm that where it's come from, but it's called I Speak Jesus. And when we are singing I Speak Jesus over my family, or for my family, sorry, I see this, it's like this unified prayer amongst the people who are there before me as they are praying for their family. And now we have a lot of, we've got quite an interesting range of people in our church. We've got lots of older people, lots of sort of, it's kind of a little bit of everything actually. We've kind of got this and that and whatever. But I find that really interesting, that people really it's a unified prayer when they are saying, Jesus for my family. I think it's so important for us as a group here on the coast to be praying specifically for our families, for our relationships with our spouse, for our relationships with our kids, for our relationships with our parents, our sisters, our brothers. And that's not to exclude who else we should pray for, but I just think sometimes we get so caught up in praying for everyone out there, wherever out there happens to be, that we forget that we need to be praying for who is in our world. And even when we do pray, it's not always that deep, heartfelt, I really value this and this person. Thank you, God. I really, this is concerning me about this person. What can you do about that? How can you show me? This is the prayers that I think God hears all of them, obviously. But He wants to know what your concerns are with those relationships that you have. Now, there is such a huge emphasis on boundaries at the moment in terms of self-care. You'll see in so many different realms of society, it's a lot of things are about boundaries and protecting boundaries. And I mean, I've worked in pretty what's the word? They're not dangerous, but I've worked in sort of tedious situations where I have to be very, very careful in how I protect my family. So even down to the fact that I'm not overly comfortable with, well, even just for my car, when I was driving in particular settings, I would have to be very cautious of who saw my car and who saw, number plates and things like that, otherwise I probably wouldn't have to worry about. In this particular realm, I had to be very firm with those boundaries. So I know that there is a real need for it sometimes. I know that in terms of internal and, well, even psychological, just comfort or assurance, or physical is a big part of it as well. And there is a need for boundaries in some settings, well and truly. I totally get it. But I think the line that we need to be working out as Christians is what does that look like when things are messy for those that we love, and being prepared to pray through those, obviously, because yes, in some cases we do need to be very cautious with the boundaries that we put in place. But Jesus is the hope that every one of us are seeking. We're seeking it for ourselves. We're seeking it for our spouse, for our families. And I just want to encourage you guys, even in the stuff that is really terrifying, you can honour your commitment to God and to those that you've been held responsible for through prayer. One of the things that one of my wedding vows for my first marriage was that I told my now ex-husband that I would pray for him continuously. And when he left, when I was 7 months pregnant with our second daughter, and at the time my other daughter was literally 12 months. It was like to the day she was turned 12 months. So it was a bit messy there for a while. But I was left with this question of, what do I do with this? I have made this commitment to this person in this way, and there are so many elements of that I can't follow through because he's not interested in pursuing that, whatever, all that sort of stuff. It gets messy. But one thing that I can still do, and I still do today, is I can pray for him, and I can pray for the knowledge that at some point in his life, he will come to know that God is a genuine love. So what does that have to do with parents and kids? Well, I have 2 children that are biologically his, and it is so important for me to be praying for him because he's important to them. And vice versa. I think the way that their life has evolved and the repercussions of the decisions that were made between us and the way that they've had to live their lives based on, the troublesome stuff that has happened between us, the tensions, all of that sort of stuff. Prayer is a big part of that, guys. I want to urge you, and I'm just using my own life here just as an open book to say, yeah, I've been part of the mess. I have been a contributor to the mess. I know that things that I have done have been harder for my children. But prayer is the key. Prayer is the key to unlocking those bigger hurdles and barriers that we tend to put up between the generations. And through prayer, we can learn more about ourselves, we can learn more about our kids can learn more about us, and we can learn how to communicate through those. We can soften those broken wounds through prayer and through the knowledge that God responds to our prayers. Let me leave it there for a little bit. I'm going to come back. We're going to talk more parenting / kids / relationships between families stuff. And I'll be back soon. All right, guys. And welcome back, guys. You are joining us here at Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host. We were just listening to Baylor Wilson, and Jesus happened. Jesus happened, thankfully, to me. I'm hoping he is happening to you. And if you don't know much about that and you are interested in knowing more about who this Jesus guy is, there are awesome churches all across the coast. And Rhema CC is actually the website we've got, rhema.cc. Check us out. It'll give you a list of all the different churches in this location so you can get a little bit more information about who this Jesus guy is, what's so important about him, and why do so many people, and thankfully for myself I can put my hand up and say, yes, I'm one of them, claim that this guy is a bit of a game changer and he is pretty fantastic. There are some awesome pastors out there who will just spend some time with you and just go through, just getting to know him. He's a good Jesus. He's a good God. And he's here. He's amongst us. You will learn more. I will leave it there because that's, totally off track to where I'm going today. But I do want to say that He is hope. Jesus is hope. If you're looking for hope, that is a great place to start. Guys, we're talking all things kind of parenting slash, it goes both ways really. It's parenting and kids. It's a relationship between us. Now, I am a 40 plus year old lady and I should say that I'm still very much a kid. I don't think I'm ever going to grow up. I still don't drink tea or coffee. My mum has told me, quite a few times that means I'm not quite yet a mum. So I'm still working on that. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. But well, my point is that we don't ever stop being kids. We are somebody's child. We are somebody's son or daughter. And actually, that's one of the songs I've been listening to just recently is the whole, John Farnham, you're the voice. It's kind of those words echo. And I'm like, we are someone's son and someone's daughter. And thankfully for us, it's a case of, we know that even if our earthly parents aren't around or they haven't been a part of our lives, that we are still someone's son or someone's daughter. And that, thankfully, is this big God who just oversees everything. But we can certainly learn a lot from him. I'm going to just throw some scripture at you guys. I wish I had more time to sort of sit on this, but I honestly, as I said, I only felt like I was supposed to be talking about this particular thing on the way down here. I'd planned something else in my head, and as I was coming down to Rhema this morning, I just found myself going, all right, we're going there, God. All right, show me what's happening. What are we talking about? Where do you want to take things this morning? So I have got quite a few Bible verses in front of me in terms of parenting, and a lot of them come down to the responsibilities of being a parent, but it goes both ways. I'm going to just give it a few that I've got in front of me at the moment. Now, this is just from BibleStudyTools.com, so I've literally just done a search, and these are sort of things that have popped up. Colossians 3:21, fathers, do not embitter your children, or they will become discouraged. Ephesians 6:4, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Exodus 20:12, honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land of, let me start again. Exodus 20:12, honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Hebrews 12:11, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. I just want to stop there for that, just for a second. Now, I was only thinking about this morning. This is so bizarre because I didn't actually put the dots together until now. But I was talking about the role of discipline, thinking about the role of discipline and how it impacts who we become. I'm having one of those weird, like, wow, this is bizarre sort of moments. And my mum is as I said, I actually said this morning, she's got a background in school teaching, so she's done that for years. So she's very much a disciplinarian in that, there's for every action there's a consequence, that sort of thing. And I can see it. I can totally understand it. I recognise that there is a consequence for the actions that we take, and sometimes they're not very pleasant. They're not very pleasant results of the actions either. I was always raised with this mentality of you will understand this one day. And I think that's where I'm at. I think I'm finally at a point, I don't mean finally, because I think there's been a lot of things in my life that I've had to recognise, oh, hang on a sec, I did that to myself or I did that to other people. Let's make things better. There is a sense of discipline that is instilled from, like, in each of us from a childlike mind or time in our life. It's the stuff that happens to us or with us as kids. It will stay with us in some way. And discipline is certainly a thing with that. It's kind of like, oh, this is not much fun, but okay, all right, let's live it out. And there is a self-discipline, I think, that it starts to evolve because of that. As we get older, it does kind of, I don't know, it just sort of just becomes part of how we do things. I'm kind of, my head's sort of spinning at the things that are happening here because I'm literally just putting stuff away at home and I was thinking about discipline itself. So obviously God's been doing a bit of work on me this week, but don't underestimate discipline. Obviously, discipline it needs to be with gentleness in a lot of ways. It needs to be respectful. It needs to be for the interest of those that you're trying to raise in a godly way. And, that comes in all different contexts and situations. And yeah, it's a bit, I don't know about you guys, but I find it hard as a mum. This week my son said to me, can I go to this thing that's happening on Tuesday? And I said, I really am so sick of being the one that has to decide yes or no. I'm like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I have to be the one that makes that final call. And I'm so over having to be the one that sort of guides and doing stuff to make sure not just him, but each of my kids knows how to live well and how to make judgments that are, conscious of other people and ethical and all that sort of stuff. It gets tiring, guys. I know if you're a parent, it is a tiring process to have to stay on it all the time. I get it. I know it's really hard. But if we look at Proverbs 13:24, whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. I think it echoes over and over that there is our role as parents. If you are a parent, it is to guide. It is to ensure that our kids know that life is going to throw some hurdles at them if we don't prepare them for that now. And I know that, as I said before, we are all different ages and stages. We're all different, even as parents of older people, it's going to be harder to, the relationship changes. It really does change. But when we've got little guys, like little children, it is so important for them to recognise that there are consequences to their actions. And that's actually a part of developing awesome adults. I'll leave it there because there's a lot that my head's still processing where I'm supposed to be going with this morning. But that's kind of where I feel like God's sort of pulling things to a halt for now. So we'll leave it there and I'll see you before too long. All right, enjoy, guys. Welcome back, Coasties, and welcome to Sunday. I am Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host. We were just listening to I Remember by the Planet Shakers. And yeah, plenty to remember for us parents. I'm thinking stuff through as I'm talking to you guys. But I don't know about you guys, but that's one of the things that I find hardest about being a parent is all the things that you have to remember. Now, that's not really a very God thing. That's just a parent human thing. My brain is constantly on overload. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not someone to sit and write things down. I know that most people have some sort of diary or something. I kind of get a little bit like, it takes more effort to write it down than it does for me to remember it. So again, we're all a little bit different and we certainly have shortcomings. So maybe my shortcoming is the fact that I don't actually write things down, but that's who I am. And I don't know that it's ever going to change. I remember having a manager back when I was working in the employment services, and she was kind of going, oh, you know what it's like because you have to be really organised. You have to have everything written down and ready to go, with your kids and that. And I just looked at her and said, no, you've got the wrong person. I can be a little bit of a scatterbrain, but that's okay. I am okay with being a scatterbrain because somehow God always spins it and he goes, right, Lindy, looks like it's a mess. Let's bring it back together. Let's work out what we're doing today. And honestly, guys, that is kind of where we've been this morning. I mentioned this morning I had been planning to do something else actually this morning. And it just kind of felt like God was going, no, we're not going that direction today. We're going to go somewhere else. You're going to talk about some stuff that I'm just going to lay on you for a bit. And God's been sort of like bringing back that relationship between a child and their parent. I, a few moments ago, got a message from my daughter. Now, this daughter, I'll read it to you. She's written, want to come and hang out with your baby girl later? And then followed up with, the other message was, we'll just see, sorry, just saw you at Rhema. So my kids are stalking me while I'm sitting here, and that's okay because I'm always stalking them too. It's a healthy stalk, I promise. It's not a little bit weird, it's not uncomfortable. We kind of just know where each other are. And I think healthy relationships are what we're after, isn't it, guys? We want healthy relationships. We want to ensure that those in our life know that they have been built up, that they've got a safe place that they can call home. Home is so important. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Home is important. It's so relevant to have a place, whether that is the people, which is, I think, more than anything, that you can go back to and go, I'm safe here. Whether it happens to be a place, it could be a location, it could be somewhere that you just go, I can just be real here. And I think the family unit is designed to be a place that is that. Now, sadly, we're looking at a world that doesn't understand that. They can't see it. They've never seen it. They may be yearning to know what that's actually like. And I've talked previously, I've heard many people talk on this platform here in Rhema, or like actually for that matter, a lot of different Christian sort of media itself, about the importance of being the light in darkness. And our family should be that. Our relationships with our spouse should be that. It should be a safe place. So that's what I think God is pulling on those strings within my own little heart at the moment, just going, okay, how do we get that within our own family context? We need to know it's important. Now, we spoke previously about discipline and how it is important to guide our children. It's important to make sure they know that there are consequences for the actions they take. Just to echo on that, Proverbs 22:6, train a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not turn from it. Now, I've clung to this one big time. I've got kids of all different ages and stages. I've got lots of different things happening for different kids. And there are days where I have to hold on to the fact that that Mike and I, my husband and I, have done and prayerfully, placed our kids before God time and time again. And there are decisions that are made by our kids from time to time that we find ourselves looking at each other going, oh my goodness, can you believe that is actually the reality right now? Or, why are they doing that? Or all that sort of stuff. And I think that's a tricky part of being a parent. You have to pull your hands off sometimes and go, all right, I've instilled everything I possibly can. I've given them the words of wisdom that I think they need to hear. I've done the things that I believe I can do. And yet they're still choosing another path, another way. But I really do genuinely believe that underneath all of that, and prayer is that final loop that just brings it all together continuously. I really do believe that God answers the prayers of his kids and their kids. Train a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not turn from it. Proverbs 22:6. Now, I know that it sounds like it's a little bit airy-fairy out there, but I really believe that faith is such a big part of that. Holding on to the fact that, you are as an individual, as a parent, as an individual parent, but also with your spouse or whoever you happen to be doing life with, raising your kids to know that, there are right ways of doing things and there are wrong ways of doing things. And even when they're caught up in the wrong, whether that's us who believe it or if it's a biblical thing that has guided that. I just think it's just so important for us to hold on to the fact that God has promised us that our job is to just keep teaching them about him, and eventually at some point down the track, and that might be when they're 77, I really believe that God will stir and he'll bring people back to, remember what you learnt as a child? I'll leave it with this. My husband often talks about how the kids that he went to school with were raised in Christian homes and they went to church every Sunday, and, that was the culture. He was from Kentucky, from, America. And I think part of me wonders what that's like, because I obviously haven't experienced it myself. I wonder what it's like to have that exposure to, Christian faith just being part of a societal thing. It's more of a societal norm. But then these same kids, as they got older, they wanted nothing to do with church. They had, went and lived their own life. It sounds very much like my own journey. And then now they have their kids and they're all back in church with their kids. And so it's like there is just this need for each of us to have those moments where we have to work it out for ourselves. And when we do, we sort of get it, the things that we were raised on. So parents, choose wisely. What things are important for your kids to know? What do you want them to pass on? What do you want them to know? What do you want them to live by? It's a big call being a parent. There are so many expectations, so many responsibilities, and so much understanding that we cannot do it alone. Throw it at God today. Throw your kids before him. Kneel before him. Leave them with him and pray, pray, pray. Our kids need our prayers, guys. If you're a parent, I just urge you, spend some time specifically in prayer for your children today. All right, I'll be back before too long. See you soon. That was No Hold On Me by Matty Mullins. Guys, you listen to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host, and we are talking parenting / being a kid. How does that one work? Yeah, well, I guess what it comes down to really is the fact that every one of us, every single person that has entered this planet, has been born of parents. This is one of those things that is universal. We cannot escape the fact that we have been born by people. And it's one of those things that I think we probably overlook just the importance or the relevance of it. But I think that just shows you how important, to creation and to restoration and to... It's really big. I don't even know where to go. It's just, my brain is just exploding at the thought of it. We've been talking about how important it is to be a parent of an awareness of what is important. I think parenting itself is so big. And when we think of parenting as in, parenting classes, we might be taught how to teach our kids how to sleep, how to, how to deal with the temper tantrums, or, there's all these sort of ages and stages that we go through, our kids go through, that we just kind of go, that's normal for that age. My poor daughter is 12 at the moment, and she sat at our breakfast table the day, and my husband said something about, poor Nevaeh, she's at a point where she's, you just say anything to her and she's going to cry. And I just looked at her and I said, are you 12? And she knows that that's what her sisters were like at about 12. And I just sat there and I said, here you go. And I kind of stared at her in the face and said, here you go, you're okay, you're going to be okay. And of course her eyes filled up with tears. She goes, I don't even know why I'm crying. It just happens. And I think it's a stage that we go through as parents. There's plenty of stages that we see as norms. But when we're talking about our relationships with our children from a spiritual perspective, we often sort of overlook what's important. We deal with the biological changes, we deal with the emotional changes, we deal with that sort of stuff. But the spiritual changes and meeting each kid where they are is just so important. I have echoed this morning how important prayer is in that. And I don't want to get too sidetracked because I had a direction I was going with stuff, but I want to just throw this back at you because this can be a verse that holds every age and stage that every parent is going through with a sense of peace. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And number 7 is and the peace of God which transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Don't be anxious. Doesn't matter what stages you're facing as parents. Just keep praying through it. Just keep pushing through it. And in all things, be thankful that you have got those kids to pray for. Even when they're just giving you, and not a real fun ride. There are those moments that are just really, really hard. I want to leave you with this. I'm going to tie things up shortly because it's almost time for me to finish up. But each of my kids are in different stages. Their spiritual walk is in different stages. And I think last week especially I had this real sense of, I actually just kept hearing the words, do not give the devil a foothold. Don't give the devil a foothold. And there was all these different circumstances that happened in my own family that I thought, this could really flare things up between this, the relationship between these people, or myself and this kid, or myself and my husband, or whatever. And it just felt like there was just this constant little nitpicking or this nagging that was coming from a spiritual realm. It was like there's things just kept popping up that were designed to really rock our boat a bit. And I think that the response to that is to just be silent and be still before God and listen to Him. Pray, obviously, for your children, for those things that pop up that do leave you unstable, that leave you anxious, leave you going, what next, God? How do I handle this? All those sorts of thoughts that can trigger it becomes so much bigger in our heads if we allow it to. But just learn to be still. Be still in those moments that just are utter chaos. I've had plenty of those moments as a mum where I can't do it on my own. I just can't. I just cannot do it on my own. And there's been plenty of times where I felt like I am doing it on my own, where the only real way that I can do it is to look at God and go, I need you in this. I can't make this happen on my own. I need you. Wherever you are today, mums and dads, next week I'm actually going to cover, I'm just talking now, but I've just realised just how important it is for me to follow this up with the flip side of this. And we're going to talk to kids next week. But parents, you are not alone. God has equipped us with, so much scripture in how to parent, to work out what is important. It's not the name brands they're going to be wearing. It's not the sports that they're involved in. That can be all enjoyable things. But our focus has to be on the character that we're developing in our children. Do they know that they're loved? Do they know that they're cared for? Do they know they have a God who loves them? Do they know that they have a God who will walk every season with them? Do they know that they have a responsibility to the people they care about, to those in their communities, to those in their world? To just be that hope that other people are seeking? Do they know how to get up and move when things are tough? Do they know how to keep pushing through? Do they know how to be sensitive to the needs of those? Do they know how to provide? Do they know how to do what is good in the world? That's the kind of humanity that we as parents should be striving and praying for. And I'm so thankful, and I'm not genuinely not just bring this to, look at my kid, but I'm so thankful that my kids are so far able to do that, even through the stupid mistakes that they've made along the way. I'm a parent. I could be at some point going, oh my goodness, I've really messed up here. But even if I've messed up, I'm so thankful I've got a God who restores and covers over all of my mistakes. He'll provide the right people in their life that they need if I'm the one that's messed up. God is a God who covers over. His grace, it's mind-blowing. The way he does things, he cleans a path, guys. He just cleans the way so that we can have a relationship with him and with each other. And if things are messy with your kids today, there is so much hope. Get praying, get reading, get knowing him more. I am praying for you guys. I know it's hard to be a parent, especially when they've got time off school. So if you are entering school holidays, you have my prayers, you have my thoughts. I'm with you 110% because I will probably be pulling my hair out the exact same way next week. And I will be talking about kids next week, apparently. It's just kind of come to me, so I will just go with that. Have an awesome time with your kids if you are actually on holidays with your kids. If you are a kid that's on holidays, awesome job. You've made it through another term as well, so I hope you get a chance to have some fun. I'll see you guys back here. Enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your week, and I'll see you next morning, Sunday morning. See you guys.